Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing with chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. Vasudevaya. So we are continuing with chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. Sorry about that. There was an echo. So chapter 7, there was an echo. I don't know what was happening. I'm not so computer savvy anyway. Chapter 7, Bhagavad Gita as it is, text number 19. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevah sarvam miti sa mahatma sudurlabha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Om Agyanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Once again, thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And today we are going to discuss, there is a few verses from 19 to 23, wherein we will get the knowledge about worshiping Lord Krishna compared to worshiping the demigods. So we will understand what is the difference between worship of Lord Krishna and the demigods. Now, this particular verse that I just read, number 19, Krishna says that after many births and deaths, that means there is reincarnation. We go through the cycle of birth and death over and over again. And after going through that cycle for many times, he says, one understands who is Krishna. That means it's only fortunate souls who come across the Bhagavad Gita. Now, when he says after many births, we need to understand the Vedas, they tell us that there are 8.4 million species of lives, not the population, not the number of species, but different kinds of species. So from that 8.4 million species, 3 million different species are just the animals, the four-legged animals. Then 2 million species of different plants and trees. There are 1.1 million species of insects and reptiles, 900,000 different species of aquatics, and only 400,000 different species of human forms. That means the human form is very rare. And what is the benefit of having a human form? The benefit is that along with the human form comes philosophical intelligence, with which one is able to understand who am I, can ask these questions, understand why am I suffering based on knowledge. So animals cannot do that. Aquatics cannot. Insects, reptiles, birds, they do not have that philosophical intelligence. They just go through their cycle of evolution. So after going through 8.4 million species of life, now that we've got this human form of life, Krishna is giving us this knowledge to make us understand that you have gone through so many different births and deaths. And he says, after going through, after many births, one who comes to this platform of knowledge. What is that platform of knowledge? The knowledge that we are getting from Bhagavad Gita. And that knowledge is who is the cause of all causes. He says, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Vasudeva is another name of Krishna. Sarvam means all. He is the cause of all causes. And based on one's pious credit, all the piety one may have performed in previous lives or in this life, one gets an opportunity to hear the Bhagavad Gita. And this Bhagavad Gita knowledge helps us to understand who we really are and who is the Supreme Lord. So after many, many births. So all of us who are listening today to the Bhagavad Gita, we should feel very fortunate that we have come to that position in our life where we have access to this spiritual science called the Bhagavad Gita. So he says, Krishna says, one who comes after many births and deaths comes to this platform of knowledge and understands Krishna is the cause of all causes. He says, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. This Mahatma, this great soul is very rare. That means those who come to the platform of self-realization, they are considered Mahatmas. Atma means soul, Maha means great soul, considered a great soul. But he says, such a great soul is very rare. Now we will see that, many people in this world, they get an opportunity to get some spiritual knowledge, but not everybody takes advantage of it. They say, oh yeah, maybe when I grow old, maybe when I have nothing else to do, maybe then I will think about spirituality. But we don't know if we are going to live that long. So here Krishna is saying that Mahatma, that great soul, is the one who is totally pure. All the contaminations are gone. There are no more contaminations. And that person is so attracted to Krishna, to the Supreme Lord, that wants to perform devotional service. You see, we all, in this material world, we are serving. It may be, of course, we are serving the body, we are serving our senses, we are serving our spouse, our children, our family, we are serving our friends, our relatives. We are also serving the country, or we are, serving the boss in the office. So we are serving all the time. But yet we think, I am the master, I'm the controller. So if we are already serving so many different living entities, why not serve Krishna also, the Supreme Lord? So these Mahatmas, these great souls, they completely surrender to Krishna by performing devotional service because they understand he is the Supreme Lord and the highest goal is to achieve love for Krishna. And in chapter 15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto. Sarvasya means all. In the heart of all living entities, he says, I am situated as the Param Atma, the super soul. And he is the one who gives us the power to see, to speak, to walk. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I'm the ability in man. So whatever we are able to do, that is because of the mercy of Krishna. So these great souls, they feel a lot of gratitude towards Krishna because of all that knowledge they have received. And so they surrender unto him. Let's see the next verse, what Krishna says in verse number 20. Excuse me. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. A very, very important point, verse, of the Bhagavad Gita, which is, you can say, an eye opener, because most of us are not, we do not have access to this kind of knowledge. Here, this is very, very important. He's saying intelligence stolen away. Can you imagine? We have the intelligence and it is stolen away. Then what do? Then we are not really able to, understand what is right, what is wrong, because intelligence is necessary to figure out what's right and wrong. So he says, those whose intelligence is stolen away by material desires. So when a person has a lot of material desires, they are the ones, Krishna says, they surrender unto demigods. Now let's say why. Because they want instant gratification. Instant in the sense, they, according to the Vedas, there is knowledge in there which says that, okay, if you have some material desires, then you can surrender or you can worship the demigods. Now, why is Krishna calling them less intelligent? Because these people who are worshiping demigods, they are looking for immediate fulfillment of their material desires. Their motivation is, how can I satisfy my senses? I want this and I want that and I want that. There are so many desires, but all these desires are very, very small. They are very petty, and they are not going to give us permanent solution to our problems. Let's say I have a boil on my hand. It's kind of septic, there is pus in it, and that boil is really hurting me, it's painful and it's infected, and also it is causing me to get some fever, high fever. Now if I just blow on it, it's going to give me temporary relief, but it's not going to cure my infection. I have to show it to a doctor who is going to remove all that pus which is there in that boil, clean it up, put some medication, give me some medication to take, so that the infection is gone. So that is permanent solution, but blowing on the boil is temporary solution. So asking for benedictions, worshiping the demigods to get something in return, first of all, that's a business deal. Okay, we are making a deal with the demigods. Okay, I do this for you and then you do this for me. No. Devotional service, there is no selfishness in that at all. So these are small desires, they are not big desires. So worshiping demigods is not finding solutions, permanent solutions to our problems. What are our solutions in life? Birth, disease, old age, and death. These are the four miseries in life. We want to get rid of all of them. We don't want to grow old. We don't want to get disease. We don't want to die, and we don't want to be born again. So the permanent solution to this is to worship Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Vedas, the Vedic literatures, they recommend demigod worship, but for different purposes. There are various purposes. For instance, those who are, those who have a disease and, are really suffering from disease. So Vedas recommend that you worship sun demigod. If you worship sun, then, your disease will be gone. Those who are looking to earn a lot of money, they worship goddess of fortune, that is Lakshmi. Those who are wanting to be very highly educated, they want that benediction, they worship Mother Saraswati. Those who are looking to get a very nice, good husband, they worship Lord Shiva. So this is demigod worship. They are worshiping the demigods to get something in return. But Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that no matter what, we already learned in this chapter, Chatur Vidha Bhajante Mam, Jana Sukritino Arjuna, that these Sukritino, these pious people, there are four kinds of them who come to Krishna. One who is distressed, one who wants money, one who is inquisitive, and one who wants knowledge. So Krishna says, okay, if you have any problems, any miseries, come to me, depend on Krishna, because Krishna says that all the benefits that the demigods are giving to us, they all come from Krishna. Only the source is Krishna. The source of all the benedictions is Krishna. So because we have this minute independence, we, make our own choice. What do we want to do? Do we want to worship the demigods, Or do we want to worship the reservoir of pleasure, the reservoir of benedictions, which is Lord Krishna himself? Go to the source of benedictions. Now, the benefits that we receive from demigod worship, Krishna says, the fruits of that benefit is limited and temporary. It's not permanent. But Krishna says that those who worship me, they come to me, which means we go to the spiritual planet where there is no birth, disease, old age, nor death. There is permanent happiness over there. Why? Because we get a spiritual body that does not deteriorate, that does not get disease, that does not get old, and that does not die. Let's see what he says in verse number 21. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. So how very kind and compassionate is Krishna. He is saying, okay, if, of course, he's first of all says, I'm situated in everyone's heart as the super soul, the Param Atma, the super soul. And he says that as soon as we desire, so he's giving us a choice. He's not forcing us to worship him. He says, okay, there's a choice. If you want, you can worship me. But he says, as soon as, that means quickly, as soon as one desires to worship a particular demigod, Krishna, he's so kind, he makes the faith steady for us. He says, okay, you want to worship this demigod, I will make your faith more steady towards that demigod. He's making the faith steady. He does not interfere with our little independence that we have. Minute independence, just like when we go for grocery shopping, we go to Kroger, Publix, or Walmart, or wherever we go for shopping, there is a lot of choice. Say, for instance, I want to buy some cheese. There are so many varieties of cheese over there in the supermarket. So I make the choice. What do I want? Which brand do I want? Which cheese do I want? So I choose. So here also Krishna is giving us a choice. He says, okay, I'm not going to force you to worship me. There is a choice. You choose. But at the same time, he's giving us knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. He's telling us, okay, demigod worship is limited. It is temporary. And the demigods, they give you benedictions from Krishna himself. So he is the source. He's not forcing us. Why? Because in the matter of love, there is no force. So if we want to love God, then it has to come from within us that we want to do that. If he wants, he can force us to love him, but that's not what love does. Love is by one's own choice. So he's giving us knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, explaining to us the difference between worship of Krishna and worship of demigods. And based on that knowledge, then we can make a choice. We can, it's always good to make a choice based on knowledge. And the demigods, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, that the demigods, they are aware. They know that Krishna is above them and that whatever benedictions they are giving to us, it is coming from Krishna himself. Without the sanction of Krishna, even the demigods cannot give us benedictions. We have heard that phrase, not a blade of grass moves without the permission of the Supreme Lord. And excuse me. And who is the Supreme Lord? From the different scriptures, we have got different references which says Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these demigods, they know that we are parts of Krishna. Now, in chapter 10, when we read chapter 10, we will see Krishna talks about his opulences. He even explains to Arjuna that everything comes from me. Sarvasya, no, aham sarvasya prabhavo mataha sarvam pravartate. Everything emanates from me, Krishna says. But in chapter 11, he gives the practical demonstration that he is the Supreme Lord. How? He shows the universal form to to Arjuna. He shows the whole universal form in which Arjuna can see that all the demigods are within the body of Krishna. So the demigods, they know that they have the knowledge that they are parts of Krishna. They belong to the Supreme Lord, and all the benedictions are coming from Krishna himself, and they depend on the will and sanction of Krishna. So now we need to decide what we need to do, whether we want to worship the Supreme Lord or we want to worship the demigods. Now, if we decide to worship the demigods, here in this verse, Krishna is saying, I make their faith steady in that worship. He does not interfere. Let's see what he says in verse number 22. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtain his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that these benedictions, he's repeating, he's saying these benedictions are being given by me alone. So we can see here Krishna is saying those who are endeavoring with faith to worship the demigod, endeavoring, trying hard. Yes, I want to worship this particular demigod. Why? Because I want to obtain my desires. I have a desire. Maybe I have a desire to get a good husband. I have a desire to get a good wife. I have a desire to get a big house. I have a desire to get a good job. Whatever the desire may be. So if a person is, endeavoring with faith to worship a particular demigod, Krishna says, I make their faith more firm. You see, we may forget, but demigods, they know that whatever worship they are receiving, whatever benedictions they are going to give, it is all coming from Krishna. And Krishna is making it very clear in this verse that he is bestowing these benefits through the demigods. So why not go to the reservoir of benedictions? Why not go to the source from where all the benedictions are coming, right? So it's important to understand that devotional service to Krishna and worshiping the demigods, it's not on the same platform. No, demigods are not separate gods, like small gods. No, there is only one God. If you look up in the dictionary, the meaning of God, it very clearly says supreme being, which means singular. There's only one. God means someone who has no one who is equal to him or above him. That is the position of God or the Supreme Lord. So the demigods and Krishna, they are not on the same platform. Demigods are different parts of Krishna. They are not separate gods. So devotional service is spiritual. It is not material. Whereas demigod worship is kind of material because we are looking for material desires to be fulfilled. So if demigod worship for material benefit it's done, then that is considered to be less intelligent, and those benefits are temporary. Let's do the last verse for today. He says, men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Very, very clear instruction. So he says, men of small intelligence, he's making it very clear that those who worship the demigods, they are not very intelligent. is making it very, very clear. They are not very intelligent. He's saying men of small intelligence worship the demigods. Why? Because this human form of life is very, very rare. We have got this human form of life after going through millions and millions of species of different lives. And finally, we've got this human form of life. So if we are going to waste this human form of life just to satisfy material desires, just to get some material benedictions, then it is definitely small intelligence. That is not, high intelligence at all. And here, Krishna is saying that human form of life is meant to go back to the spiritual world, to his supreme abode, which is Vaikuntha, which is called Goloka Vrindavana. So if we are going to run after worshipping the demigods to get temporary fulfillment of desires, then that is not intelligence at all. So as I mentioned that demigods are parts of Krishna, the demigods know they themselves are worshipping Krishna as the Supreme Lord. So why shouldn't we go directly to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So you see, just like we have these different parts in the body, each part of the body has a different function to perform. So if we are intelligent enough, then we should know which part of the body we need to feed. So the food must go in the mouth so that it goes in the stomach, gets completely digested and nourishes the whole body. We should know how to give benefit to the tree. If we want to water the tree, we need to water the roots of the tree, and then automatically everything in the tree, the branches, the flowers, the fruits, all of them get nourished. So you see, we need to understand that just like the root is part of the tree, the stomach or the mouth is a part of this body. So we need to know where we need to put where it needs to go. So also Krishna, these demigods are the different parts of Krishna. So we need to know where should the worship go. It should go to Krishna himself. And then in this verse, Krishna is saying that the benedictions that are given by the demigods, the fruits are limited and they are temporary. So it's not complete satisfaction. And most importantly, he's talking about the destination of this worship. So what is the destination of one who worships the demigods? And what is the destination of one who worships Krishna, the Supreme Lord? It's not the same. We cannot say that, all roads lead to that same destination. No. Like supposing if I want to go, I'm in Atlanta, I want to go from Atlanta to New York. When I go to the airport, only when I sit in the flight that goes to New York, that is where I'm going to go. It's not that I can sit in any airplane and it's going to take me to New York. No, just like I want to drive, I want to go from Atlanta to Florida, then I have to take 85 south. There is a highway that goes south. I cannot say, oh, all roads lead to Florida. No, some roads go to New York, some go to California, some go to North Carolina, and only one highway that goes to Florida. So similarly, we cannot say that we worship any demigod and then we will reach one destination. No. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Abrahma bhavana loka punar avartino Arjuna. Mamupetya tu kontaya punar janmana vidyate. He says, even from the highest planet, which is Brahma Loka, down to the lowest, he says, even if one goes to the highest material planet, which is Brahma Loka, one has to come back. But those who worship Krishna, they go to the spiritual planet from which Punarjanma na vidyate. There is no more birth again into this material world. So there are two different kinds of planets, material planets and spiritual planets. Of course, we get a lot more knowledge about these different planetary systems in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the summary of the Vedas. But right now we are, of course, discussing only Bhagavad Gita. So the choice is ours. We need to decide which destination do we prefer. Do we want to go to another material planet from where, after we have enjoyed the fruits of our piety, then we come back again into this material world where there is again birth, disease, old age, and death? Or do we want to go to the spiritual planet, Krishna Loka, where there is no coming back? So we choose. So you see, there is a huge difference between worshiping demigods and worshiping Krishna. There is a huge difference. One destination is, temporary. The other destination is permanent. Choice is ours. So we choose. What do we want? We want a permanent solution. If we want a permanent solution to our problems that we have in this material world, then we have to, according to the Bhagavad Gita, then we need to follow the instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita and surrender to Krishna, which means perform devotional service to Krishna. And devotional service to Krishna, we will learn in chapter number 9, Susukham. It is very joyful. But why? Because it is based on knowledge. It's not blind faith where we say, oh, I will just do what my mom said, or this one said, or that one said. No, we go strictly by what the Supreme Lord himself is giving us knowledge. And if we follow the step-by-step process given to us in the Bhagavad Gita, then we get his mercy. The happiness is unlimited. There is a peace formula that we learn in chapter 5. And this devotional service, gives us so much peace of mind and happiness that we don't have any more desires left. We have tried so many times. We have, watched movies, gone on vacations, eaten pizzas and everything. Have we been satisfied? No. We still want more and more and more. There is no satisfaction at all because it's all material. So why not, after having tried so many material things, why not give a chance to spirituality? Why not give a chance to performing some kind of service with devotion to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna? And the devotional service starts with meditation, mantra meditation, where we chant the holy names of the Lord. And when we chant those sound vibrations, they go through our ears into the heart and start purifying the heart. When the heart starts getting purified, then we notice that we are happy. We are satisfied in all situations. It doesn't matter. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that if you chant, then there will be no more problems. If you chant, then you won't grow old. If you chant, you won't die. No, it doesn't say that. It just says, no matter what the situation is, chanting gives us the spiritual strength by which we can definitely overcome all the obstacles in our lives. It brings us happiness and it makes us peaceful at the same time. So this mantra meditation is very, very, very helpful. I've been trying it for 35 years now, and I'm not bored of it. I don't feel like, oh, I've chanted for so many years, I don't need to chant. No, it's so soothing, it's so helpful, it calms the mind, it helps in understanding life, it helps in also understanding relationships and the situations. So it has so many benefits. And guess what? There is no loss in chanting the holy names of the Lord. So I am going to post some of the links over here, but at the bottom you will see the mantra, the Maha Mantra, that by chanting that Maha Mantra, is what gives us complete happiness and satisfaction. I will, as always, every Tuesday, I'm going to chant just for a few minutes, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And my humble request is that you also please chant with me. You're sitting in your home, office, wherever. Just close your eyes and chant. The mantra is already there in the chat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So you see, I just chanted 10 times. And these beads, they have 108 beads in them. And if we chant 108 times this Maha Mantra, it takes only 10 minutes, about 8 to 10 minutes. So it's my very humble request to all of you to please chant this Maha Mantra on a daily basis. And you yourself will see the change, how your mind is becoming more and more peaceful. So I'm going to end now. If anyone has any questions or comments.